guys, it is Nathan Briggs here, and today I'm doing a top 10 worst James Bond movie video where basically I will rank the worst Bond movies out of the 23 that have hit the cinemas over the 50 years. So, kicking off the list, in at number 10 it is the first Roger Moore James Bond, Live and Let Die. Now, I'm not exactly saying this is one of the worst films, but it's not one of the best either. It's all the way from 1973, and it seems, well, there is quite some boring bits in it. Not one of my favourites, but it does also equally have some good action parts in it. So, a film that I do recommend that you see it actually, but things like the car chases, they're pretty bad, and the story plot isn't too good either, it's a bit weak. But of course that's what you do sort of expect with older films, but yeah, it's not great. So, in at number 9 on the list, it's a James Bond film, Die Another Day, all the way from 2002. Now, the problems that I have with this film is that it's a bit like sci-fi. It's not really believable in some parts, and it's all about global domination and stuff like that. This is the last Pierce Brosnan film though, but equally, things like the sword fight that happens is very entertaining, and also the beginning scene with the gunfight is pretty good. Once again, you probably should watch this film. Some people actually think this is one of the best James Bond films, but I'm not 100% keen on it because of these reasons. In at number 8 on our list, it is another Roger Moore James Bond film, but the reasons why I'm not so keen on this film is partly because of the plot. Now, it is quite interesting that this woman's parents do die at the start by a Cuban hitman, she then gets his revenge by killing him with a crossbow, as we see. But yeah, the car chases, once again, they're a bit outdated. The plot's not too good, it's a bit weak in places, and there are parts in the film that make you feel like you want to fall asleep, but equally, there is some good parts in it. The shootouts are pretty decent, which you do expect in a James Bond film. But next, in at number 7 on our list, is The Spy Who Loved Me. Some people really do like this film, partly because of the car chase, where the Lotus does go underwater, which is of course a very famous scene. But it also brings us Jaws, one of the best villains in the James Bond series in my opinion. But once again, there's bits that make you fall asleep. The plot's quite good, probably should have put this a bit better in the list, maybe number 8 or 9, because there are some good points to it. But it just seems a bit same old on the James Bond, and plus Roger Moore doesn't play the part too strong in this James Bond film in my opinion. In at number 6, it is Tomorrow Never Dies, another of the Pierce Brosnan films from 1997. Now this is the last one, well, the last Pierce Brosnan one on the list, because I do actually think that he is one of the best Bonds. Once again, it's a bit unbelievable at times. The amount of action that is in it isn't really believable. The shootouts are pretty decent, and the plot is pretty weak though, all about a news reporter who wants world domination. Yeah, it doesn't seem very great. But the bike scene is pretty decent on that as well. In at number 5, it is The Man with the Golden Gun from 1974. The reason why I don't like this film is because it's basically about this pistol that's worth 1 million each shot with this hitman, who's a very good villain by Christopher Lee, who is now unfortunately dead. But yeah, it's a Roger Moore film that I am not keen on at all really, and the setting isn't too great either, where it is placed. So another film that I'm not so keen on. But in at number 4, a film that I don't like even more is Diamonds Are Forever. A Sean Connery one here from 1971, the first from him that we have seen. I don't like this one basically for the same reasons of all the others. The plot's basically weak, the villains aren't great because it's these two old men that basically you wouldn't expect to be villains. And this women fight as well that we see isn't too great either, so a film I don't like. In at number 3, it is Moonraker, another Roger Moore, because he is a good Bond. His 2 last films are pretty decent, but I'm not so keen on Moonraker because it's all set in space and stuff about that, which doesn't apply to me. It's a bit Star Wars feeling. There is the odd good villain fight though, as we see, and the boat chase is pretty decent as well next to Niagara Falls. And we do see Jaws in this film again, but I'm just not so keen on this one at all. It is boring. In at number 2, it's another Sean Connery, You Only Live Twice. Well, the name says it all. It's the fact that he gets shot, comes back to life. It's really boring. It's set about Spectre, it's Blofeld in, which I don't like as a character. The car chases is poor, and it's set in Japan, which is not a good setting for a James Bond film, and I don't like it at all. In fact, I despise the film, I'll say that, because it's really boring. That's the only word I can use to describe it. But in at number 1, it is Thunderball, the worst James Bond film, where over half of the scenes are filmed underwater with underwater fights, and yes, it does sound boring. Sean Connery doesn't play the role too well in this film. Once again, it's about Spectre and Blofeld, so it's same old, same old. And the plot's just really boring. That's the only thing I can say about it. The actors that seem interesting get killed off too quick, therefore we don't see much about the film, and it is boring. But anyway guys, that is it for our top 10 list of the worst James Bond movies. If you would like to see more like this, then please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. But I'll see you on the next video. It has been Nathan Extra, and goodbye.